We're leading off the show with the Pistons, who are now 2-0 over the Cavs in their second round playoff series with last night's Game 2 win, 107-97. And really, we see a couple different things from Game 1 to Game 2 based on what the Cavs are coming in with, but almost the same sort of game where the Pistons build a pretty big early lead, double digits in the first quarter, led by as many as 14 points, not quite as much as the 18 points they led in Game 1 in the first quarter. But this is the consistent trend that we've been seeing in this series, which I like a lot more than what we were seeing in the Orlando Magic series. And that's the Pistons, now 2 for 2, consistently getting off to a hot start, which this obviously is not what we were seeing in the Magic series. It was the Magic generally getting off to the hot starts, and the Pistons are in a quick, 8 to 10 plus point hole. And they spend the majority of the rest of the game trying to climb out of that. Sometimes they would get out of that pretty quickly, but the Pistons' longer runs of success were not really quite as sustainable. Not until games 6 and 7, of course. But in this series, the Pistons are routinely getting off to hot starts, playing with a lot of energy, getting a lot of nice, easy scores. And then the Cavs spending the rest of the game fighting back. They did eventually, in the fourth quarter, even briefly take the lead. Really since the very start of the game. Long stretch of time between when the Cavs held the lead in this one, but the Pistons able to, for the second game in a row, finish very strong. Great three-point shooting. Great depth support in this one for the Pistons. I mean, how about Dennis Jenkins specifically was a standout for me off the bench. 14 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, and had a lot of timely baskets in this one. And he's starting to find his niche for making buzzer-beating threes. We had another buzzer-beating three to end a quarter for Dennis Jenkins, or at least a buzzer-beating shot. But regardless, he's just developing that knack. And I thought he was tremendous off the bench in this one. And some of the other support guys as well, Duncan Robinson. He is making it really, really stepping his game up from downtown. 5 of 9 3-point shooting for Robinson, 17 points. He had a nice steal, 3 steals, by the way, in this game. Had a nice steal in the first quarter where he stole it pretty much on the inbound or the rebound, whatever, and then immediately just went to the corner, shot a 3, made the 3. That's the Duncan Robinson at his finest right there. And Tobias Harris, Mr. Consistency in these playoffs for Tobias. Another 21-point game, 9 of 16 shooting. Had a little bit of an injury scare in that first quarter. Got a little bit crossed up from Donovan Mitchell. Looked like a potential hip injury, but he was fine in that one. Asar Thompson in foul trouble. Finished with 5 personal fouls. Only played 23 minutes, but great overall game as always. Had 2 steals. Big impact as always on defense. 10 points, 5 of 8 shooting, 7 rebounds, 2 assists. And now we get to our 2 stars. Cade Cunningham, the engine that makes this Pistons team run. 25 points and 10 assists, 7 of 14 shooting. I love that. And then Jalen Duren, 8 points, only 2 of 7 shooting. Mentioned this is going to be a very tough series for him with the Twin Towers on the other side with the Cleveland Cavaliers, but 10 rebounds as well. So not only you're getting many contributions in this series, but it's the depth pieces that really were the difference maker in this game for the Pistons over the Cavs. Not many depth support pieces for the Cavaliers in this game last night. And I mentioned it's all about adjustments. What adjustments were the Cavs going to make in this game? In Game 1, obviously, they were very sloppy with the ball. Way too many turnovers. The Pistons making them pay time and time again with the points off turnovers. fast break points and such. Well, Cleveland did clean up that aspect of their game. They cut their turnovers way down, basically in half. 13 turnovers by the Pistons, 11 by the Cavs. So the Cavs actually won the turnover battle last night. The Pistons were, however, able to turn that into 13 fast break points compared to just 4 fast break points for the Cavs. Overall, 10 points off of turnovers for the Cavs, 14 for the Pistons. So by and large, the Pistons were still out and running in this one any chance they got, and the Pistons very disciplined defensively, getting back, preventing those fast break opportunities for the Cleveland Cavaliers. But the Cavs are really trying to amp up that size advantage that they have down low with the likes of Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley down low. That's too much for one guy, Jalen Duren, to handle. And there were several times you saw them take advantage whenever they were able to isolate Tobias Harris down low. Obviously, Asar Thompson. I like being in those situations guarding one of those guys, but with his foul trouble, couldn't really utilize him for large swaths of this game. So you could see the Cavs really taking advantage in those situations. As a matter of fact, very slim rebounding advantage for the Pistons, 51-47. But the Cavs, once again, showing that paint presence, 52-42 points in the paint and 22-16 second chance points. Meanwhile, big games from their big man, big game, singular, I should say, Jarrett Allen, at least 22.7 of 9 shooting, 7 rebounds, 3 assists with a steal and a block. And then Evan Mobley only finished with 9 points, but defensively, wow, 3 steals and 3 blocks, really dominating right there. So with the Cavs stepping it up, maybe getting a little bit of an edge in the paint, well, Pistons, this was their 3-point shooting game. 50% shooting from downtown, 14 of 28. They made 7 more threes than the Cavs, despite taking 4 fewer 3-point attempts. I mean, it's extra 7 points that you're getting right there compared to the Cavs on their field goal attempts there. And in general, the Pistons' defense showing up time and time again, continuing to own up to the mantra of defense wins championships, limited the Cavs to only 47% shooting. 42% shooting, while the Pistons themselves shot 49%, 50% from 3. And another game where they hold their opponent to less than 100 points on the game, which is absolutely unbelievable. So going back to the Orlando Magic series, in those 7 games, the Orlando Magic was held to under 100 points 4 times out of those 7 games. And then in these 2 games of this series, you got the game last night, held under 100 points, and then game 1 barely got over 100 points, finished with 101. So the Pistons' defense, I knew that was going to be huge in the postseason, especially with the game, slowing down at times, generally, in the NBA in the postseason. You have tough defense, especially you have not only great team defense, but great individual defenders. Guys like Jalen Duren and Asar Thompson. Really advantageous as well, because not only do you work as a team to try to shut down the other team's schemes, but when you have those great individual defenders, really goes a long way with shutting down other teams' stars, which last night you did have a big scoring game from Donovan Mitchell, 31 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, and he really took over for the Cavs scoring in that fourth quarter, really put it upon his shoulders to try to bring his team back in this one. But anybody see James Harden last night? I sure really didn't see him. He was hardly noticeable most of the time. He was just awful. This is playoff Harden at his finest last night. 10 points, 3 of 13 shooting. He had more turnovers, 4, than he had made shots, 3. Absolutely embarrassing for James Harden and to the Pistons game. So it was pretty much just the Donovan Mitchell and Jarrett Allen, only 2 guys that were able to be effective in this one for the Cavs. Meanwhile, as I mentioned for the Pistons, not only did Cade Cunningham have a great game, you're having a lot of those depth, those supporting characters play a big role as well. So 2 games now. Pistons getting 2 wins in the second round series. They did what they needed to, defending their home court. And now the series shifts to Cleveland. Games 3 and 4. Game 3 is tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Live coverage right here on Jackson's Fox Sports 101.9 FM. And then Game 4 will be on Monday night at 8 o'clock. A little bit of a later start there. But now with the series shifting back to Cleveland, Cavs are going to be trying to pick up a couple of wins on their home floor. What the Pistons have to do is, job is simple. Try to at least take one of these 2 games. You want to go home back to Little Caesars Arena with a at least 3-1 lead. I mean, obviously, if you sweep, you sweep. I don't see that happening, though. But that's what you have to do. You try to split these games. You don't want the Cavs to win both these games, and then you're going back home. I mean, it is at that point a best 2 out of 3 series, and you got 2 games at home. But you don't want to try to get Cleveland not only back into the series, but the momentum shifted their direction. And we mentioned the adjustments. The Cavs already made some adjustments from Game 1 to Game 2. What more adjustments are they going to make from Game 2 to Game 3? I'll be honest, I don't think you could count on the Pistons to be as hot shooting from downtown as they were in the game last night. That was a huge factor in the win with how amazingly they shot the 3 compared to how poorly Cleveland shot the 3 and with a higher frequency of 3-point attempts. But the Cavs, they're going to try to get something going, try to find a true significant edge. We mentioned last night they started to tilt the paint game more in their favor, but that was offset and then some by the Pistons' hot 3-point shooting. But does Cleveland try to take that a step further? Try to completely dominate the paint game? Maybe they try to do something where not only do they get Asar Thompson in foul trouble again, but maybe try to get Jalen Duren in foul trouble. Maybe try to get some switches. Try to get some situations where you pull Jalen Duren away from the basket. These are just things that I'm trying to, in my mind, some scenarios I'm trying to think of, and you already know the coaches are trying to go through these scenarios as well. What are some things that Cleveland could potentially try to do to try to get back into the series, try to win Game 3? Obviously, they don't want to fall behind 3-0 because in the NBA, no team has ever come back from down 3-0. But meanwhile, for the Pistons, offensively, I think it's been fine as long as you continue to get supporting assistance like you have in these first 2 games. These role players, these other guys, when they're having big games, especially you got Dennis Jenkins coming off the bench, having big games, big performances, definitely goes a long way for this Pistons team. You don't want to revert back to that Orlando series where anybody outside of Cade Cunningham is mostly ineffective. And Tobias Harris, don't want to forget about him. He's definitely stepped up the entire playoffs as well. But it's time for the Pistons to put their foot down. You got to go for the kill right here. Trying to at least, as I mentioned, split these 2 games on the road. But if you can go up 3-0 with the game tomorrow, it's going to be a huge step forward in trying to move on and advance to the first conference finals since, 2007, I believe. So, good stuff by the Pistons in the first 2 games. And getting off to hot starts consistently definitely hasn't hurt either. You can see the difference, series to series, what it's like to consistently get off to hot starts and be consistently, trying to climb out of a hole. So I've loved to see that for the Pistons in this series. I've loved seeing them be the aggressors early and forcing Cleveland to be that team that claws back as opposed to the Pistons trying to overcome. Because we've seen with this Cavs team, they have shooters, they have scorers. They can get hot. They can put up points in a hurry. But the Pistons' defense has been too good so far to let the Cavs do that. So what adjustments will the Cavs make? We will see. Again, Game 3 tomorrow at 3 p.m. Live coverage right here on Jackson's Fox Sports 101.9 FM.
If you missed today's installment of On the Docket, podcast it at foxsports1019.com or wherever you get your podcasts. Be sure to tune in live weekdays at noon on Jackson's Fox Sports 101.9 FM.